Whitehall erupted in chaos as over 10,000 farmers and their supporters took to the streets, protesting Labour's shocking new inheritance tax policy. With placards raised high and voices united, the farming community sent a clear message: they will not back down. Leading the charge? None other than Jeremy Clarkson, who declared, "It's the end for farmers if this goes ahead."
Jeremy, Sarah Jacobs, Sky News. What do you want to say to the government about what's happening to farmers with the inheritance tax?
Back down.
Keep moving, please.
Back
guys.
down.
Keep moving.
You know, if you make a mistake, we all do, and they have, be big enough to say, we made a mistake here, and then back down.
What happens if they don't?
I don't know. British aren't very good at protesting.
Keep moving, please, guys.
What do you want to say to the farmers here today?
Well, good luck. You know, I'm trying to support you as best I can.
Do you agree with the government trying to place a tax loophole for wealthy people buying up land, pricing farmers out?
No, that's not the argument. That's not the argument.
Do you think the government are listening,
It's not that they're pricing farmers out. That's not the
Do you
argument.
think the government are listening?
No, he's in Rio. You'd have to have big ears to hear us from there.
Do you think this will change the government?
Labour's budget announcement of a 20% inheritance tax on farms valued over £1 million has sparked an outcry across the nation. The government insists the tax will only affect 500 of the wealthiest estates annually, but farmers argue that's far from the truth. Groups like the National Farmers Union, NFU, estimate up to 70,000 farms could ultimately face devastating tax bills, forcing families to sell off generational businesses just to meet liabilities. The streets of London bore witness to the farming community's fury as tractors, livestock and protesters filled Whitehall. Signs reading, "Save our farms" and Labour's rural betrayal waved above the crowd, demanding that the government reverse course. Among the demonstrators was Jeremy Clarkson, the face of Amazon's Clarkson's Farm, who gave an impassioned speech to the crowd. "They've rushed this decision and it's wrong. These farms are not just businesses, they're lives, traditions, and the backbone of this country. Labour needs to admit their mistake, fix it, and save rural Britain before it's too late." Clarkson's words struck a chord with farmers like David Barton, who owns a 400 cattle farm in Gloucestershire that has been in his family for over a century. Barton's farm is worth £5 million, leaving his family with an £800,000 inheritance tax bill under Labour's plan. "This land has been our home for generations," Barton said. "Labour's policies are ripping the heart out of rural Britain. They say it's about fairness, but what's fair about driving families like mine out of farming?" Jen, a seventh-generation farmer from Yorkshire, shared a similar story. Her family farm, valued at £1.2 million, is at risk of being sold off due to the changes. "My brother and I have worked this land since we were kids. It's not just a job, it's our life. But now, Labour's policies mean we'll have to sell everything just to pay the tax. It's devastating." NFU President Tom Bradshaw also delivered a fiery address, calling the policy a stab in the back and accusing Labour of betraying rural Britain. "This government promised us they wouldn't touch agricultural property relief. They lied. Farmers are asset-rich but cash-poor. We don't have the savings to pay these bills. This tax isn't just wrong, it's immoral." Bradshaw's criticism didn't end there. Later, on Sky News, he condemned Labour's narrative that the tax is limited to a few wealthy estates, arguing that the farming community as a whole will suffer. Farmers are already struggling to make ends meet. The government's own figures show the average farm profit is just £45,300 per year. How are we supposed to save enough to pay inheritance tax? We can't. And once these farms are gone, they're gone forever. Prime Minister Sir Keir Starmer, speaking from the G20 summit in Rio de Janeiro, defended Labour's decision. He emphasised that only farms worth over £3 million would typically be affected, and that the policy was necessary to fund critical investments in rural infrastructure. "We're putting £5 billion into farming and food sustainability and investing in schools, hospitals and housing for rural communities," Starmer said. "The vast majority of farms will be unaffected." But farmers rejected his reassurances, pointing to the harsh realities of their financial situations. Despite high valuations, many farms operate on razor-thin profit margins, with rising costs further eroding their stability. Environment Secretary Steve Reed further inflamed tensions by suggesting farmers should plan their tax affairs to mitigate liabilities. His comments were met with outrage, with critics accusing Labour of being out of touch with the unique challenges facing the farming community. "Farmers aren't corporations," Bradshaw retorted. "We don't have the luxury of loopholes and tax havens. This isn't about dodging taxes, it's about survival." The political fallout has been explosive. Conservative leader Kemi Badenoch seized the opportunity to rally rural Britain, delivering a powerful speech at the protest. Her promise to repeal what she called the family farms tax brought the crowd to its feet. "This policy will destroy farming as we know it. Labour claims they care about rural Britain, but their actions show the truth. We stand with you. We always have." Badenoch highlighted the broader challenges already weighing on farmers, from climate change to soaring costs, and warned that the tax would be the final blow for many. "If we lose our family farms, we lose our ability to feed our nation. Labour is gambling with Britain's food security, and it's unacceptable." Her message resonated, but she wasn't the only political figure to pile on the pressure. Liberal Democrat environment spokesman Tim Farron called Labour's claim of only 500 affected farms utter rubbish and accused the party of corporate favouritism. "The only way people can pay this tax is to sell their farms. And who buys them? Corporations. Labour's betrayal of rural Britain is undeniable." For farmers, this isn't just a political dispute. It's an existential crisis. Families fear that Labour's policy will accelerate the corporatisation of agriculture, with large companies snapping up land at discounted prices. Critics warn this will devastate the sustainability and diversity of British farming, turning rural Britain into a patchwork of corporate-owned megafarms. Jeremy Clarkson has become the voice of this rebellion, using his platform to amplify the concerns of the farming community. His warning about the broader implications of Labour's policy was stark. "This isn't just about taxes, it's about food security. If family farms disappear, so does Britain's ability to feed itself. We'll be at the mercy of imports and corporations. Once these farms are gone, they're gone for good." Despite the uproar, Labour shows no signs of reversing course. Starmer remains firm, insisting the tax is necessary for funding rural development and maintaining fairness in the tax system. But for many farmers, Labour's justification feels like a betrayal of their trust and their role as the backbone of the nation. The inheritance tax changes have ignited a cultural and political battle over the future of farming in Britain. Rural communities feel alienated by urban policymakers who, they argue, fail to grasp the unique challenges of their way of life. For them, this fight isn't about money. It's about preserving a tradition, a legacy, and a way of life that has defined the British countryside for centuries. As the protest dispersed, the defiance in the air was palpable. Farmers vowed to continue their fight, with more protests and lobbying efforts planned in the coming weeks. Jeremy Clarkson's final words encapsulated the sentiment of the day. "This isn't just about left or right. It's about what's right for Britain, and Labour is dead wrong. The fight for Britain's family farms has only just begun. Will Labour listen to the voices of rural Britain, or will they let these generational farms disappear forever?" Stay tuned as we bring you every twist and turn in this explosive battle. Don't forget to subscribe, like this video, and join us as we uncover the truth behind Labour's betrayal of rural Britain.